Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and this is a bit of a sticky one, but it shouldn't be. Before we get going, everyone make sure to please hit subscribe and turn on notifications so that you're the first to know of all new content as it posts. But diving into this, of course, this is from the Washington Examiner. No, Me Too hasn't destroyed office dynamics, but they still need a little help. Looking at this one, it shows that Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants to know, is it really hard not to be creepy? Well, Miss Ocasio-Cortez, it's not that it's hard not to be creepy. It's hard to know who will or will not take something as the most horrible form of sexual assault possible when it's not. I have not personally experienced this, but I have read stories where men all but have their life destroyed because they tell a female coworker she looks nice today, or did you change your hair, or something along that line. Open a door for them. It was not a coworker, but I've told the story where at a convenience store I held a door open for several people. A woman at the very end of that group of people basically got in my face and said she doesn't need a man to open the door, so I obliged and went in. She then got in my face again and said I was very rude for slamming the door in her face. I'd had enough, so I told her, one, I didn't slam the door. I allowed it to close, which she could have grabbed a hold of because she doesn't need a man. I also told her she can't have it both ways. She can choose to either just smile, say thank you to anyone who holds a door, or just ignore that person. Or she can tell them, I don't need a man to hold the door, and then when they oblige her, she can walk away. But you see, this is something that's a worrying trend. We see people basically adopting Mike Pence's rule, not being alone with a woman who is not your wife or another member, otherwise a member of your family. And very sadly, that's almost become a requirement to not be accused of sexual harassment in the workplace or anywhere else. Now, like I said, I've not had this happen to me, at least not in my office. But in the wake of Harvey Weinstein and the hashtag MeToo movement, we watched as Brett Kavanaugh, a man with a stellar career in jurisprudence, was all but thrown in prison for the rest of his life in the black hole of Calcutta for, and I quote, something that happened somewhere 30 years ago that somebody witnessed but nobody could corroborate. We had members of the Senate, Chuck Schumer, telling the world that it is on the accused to prove their innocence, not on the accuser to prove guilt. And unfortunately, this has trickled down now. We have members in management at various companies basically afraid to be in one-on-one situations with female coworkers, mentoring or whatever. We have companies in some areas that are adopting rules about things like this. I've noticed that it swings. It's one extreme or the other. There are some companies that I have acquaintances that work for that no longer have offices at all. They have single occupant rooms where you can go take a phone call if it is private information, but they've basically said, we will not have it physically possible to be alone with anyone. And that's sad. Honestly, it is. Imagine working for a company for several years, getting promoted several times until you ultimately make it into management, and you're still sitting out with everyone. One of the perks of management used to be an office. If you'll notice at schools specifically, there's not a door that doesn't have a window in it that isn't an emergency exit. There's some places where doors don't exist. As a fireman, I actually like that. doors tend to cause problems when people are panicking to get out of a bad situation in a building. But it's a sad move when you have to do that because you couldn't prove you didn't do what somebody said you did behind a closed door. What's the next move? Security cameras monitored by someone 24/7, streaming to a DVR, holding months and months and months on end of data so that if you have a one-on-one encounter with someone in your office, it's recorded. Police officers are already, and this is years and years ago, they were wearing body cameras long before Me Too, because unscrupulous people decided, wait a minute, we're the only ones here. I can say whatever I want and get this guy in trouble and get out of a ticket. Famously, there's a YouTube video of body cam footage where you hear a young woman who has been arrested in a room alone on her cell phone, which she should not have had, asking a friend, how do I get this guy to let me go? How do I get him accused of touching me or sexual assault? At one point, he flat out says, you're being recorded. We can hear you. And she keeps going. We no longer live in a world of personal responsibility. It started some time ago with the change in education from what I grew up with, where if I brought home a failing grade on a test, I was asked, why did you fail the test? To now, parents going to the teacher, why did you fail my child? And teachers who say, I didn't, your child got too many answers incorrect. And teachers now being reprimanded, threatened, fired for hurting a student's feelings. This in turn taught people that they can get whatever they want at any point in time by simply accusing someone of something. And ultimately now in 2019, we have a society that has watched as very credible allegations that ended up being proven led to a movement that very simply said, oh, that's a woman, you have to believe her. We had members of Congress saying that all rape allegations must be believed. I don't care if it's rape, murder, petty theft of a 25-cent pack of gum. Allegations should be scrutinized, evidence gathered, and the person only convicted if guilty. But we've now moved from an innocent until proven guilty to a guilty until proven innocent society, it seems, so that now male members of an organization will not be one-on-one mentors with females. In some cases, females will not either. We are losing the corporate dynamic that built amazing companies. I've worked for several. I worked for a hotel where at least 3 out of my 5 nights a week as a night auditor, there were 4 employees on site. 4. Myself, 1 other night auditor, 1 member of maintenance, 1 member of housekeeping that was running a laundry, and the maintenance person was in the laundry with them so that they weren't by themselves sitting in an office. In most cases, it was myself and a young lady as the night audit crew. I was the one tasked with going to the floors while the young lady ran the audit beginnings to gather up all of the refuse, laundry requests, room service orders on doorknobs, room service trays in the hall. In the morning, I would pass out newspapers. Right around 3 in the morning, after the bar had closed, I would go down into the basement and run the actual audit, bringing all of that stack of papers back to the young lady who would then compile the data. We went about our business. Never had a problem. And I'm sitting alone in the lobby of a hotel with a young woman for hours at a time. Now, you're going to have night auditors or overnight security refuse to be on that shift with members of the opposite sex. And it's going to cause problems until companies basically say, We have to stop this. He told me I looked better when I smiled, and that is the same as raping me in a hallway. I don't know how many times I've walked into any job I've ever held, and we're talking the last 27 years of my life since I stopped mowing yards exclusively and actually found a job with a company. You see, I was raised by professional photographers. I notice a lot of things that some people wouldn't because of that industry. Junior high, high school, my work experience after, going to college, work after that. I notice when someone changes their hairstyle, changes the color of their hair. I notice when things are different about them. And I comment. And it's not meant as anything other than, that looks nice. Or, you're all dressed up today, something special going on. None of it is meant in any other way than as a coworker and a friend. But now, it appears I'm even going to have to start watching what I say, because I don't want an innocent comment of, you changed your hair, that looks good, to be taken as something horrible, 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 and lose me my job. And it's a very sad thing. And it can all be laid squarely at the feet of Hollywood, who began the whole movement and then expanded it to include everything that anyone on the planet decides, I didn't want to hear that. Or, they looked at me the wrong way. I don't know where it will end, but I don't see it ending well unless this is addressed very quickly. And I hope that it doesn't end up ruining people. But I guess we'll see. I've talked long enough. Let me know what you think. As always, remember to stay civil, because we don't learn from arguing, we learn from debate. As always, please remember to like and share the video to expand the conversation, and again, to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you're among the first to know of all new content as it is posted. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.